say we want to really, just based on the feedback that we've had from educators and from other sessions that we've delivered, the two words that kept jumping out at me was looking for something quick and easy. Something that I can do, that I don't have to spend weeks or hours planning and prepping, and something I can just get into. I don't have to, I don't have to master it or research it and things, because you've been asked to do that in all different places and curricular areas and things already. So we know there's lots going on. There's lots of work for educators to be doing at the moment, and we don't want to add to that. So try to think about something we hope you can take away today and start to use it tomorrow. That would be the big win for us, and we hope it's got some wins in there for you. I've included on that slide, and I will share the slides at the end, and we'll post them on our Digital Learning Twitter as well. So there are lots of chances to take a copy of these slides. So again, please don't feel you have to take notes. You can do, but we'll share the resources and the links and things here as well. On the front page again, do let us know at Digital Learn Scott or Ed Scott Maths how you found tonight. It's always nice for people to sort of share that, because it encourages others to come along, and we hope as many people as possible can take away from this. And again, I've just added Jacqueline and my Twitter handles there as well, so if you want to get in touch with us on Twitter, if there's anything specific you want to follow up, please do get in touch. I think before I do go any further, the one we do want to extend a huge thank you to everyone who's taken the time to join us for this and for other sessions, and for the continued work that everyone continues to do in Scottish education. We know there's obviously lots of nice things said and some negative things said as well on social media and press and different things about the current situation of the role of educators in that, and we think what everyone's doing has been absolutely fantastic. So just that, we certainly appreciate it. We've had massive numbers of interaction with educators like yourselves, and we appreciate you taking the time to join us. It really makes the sessions worthwhile for us, and we hope they continue to be so for you. So what we're going to do in this session, we're going to talk about some of the principles first for online and for numeracy and maths, and then we'll get into the examples, and that will hopefully be the bulk of the session, is the examples and the practical demonstration of the digital tools. I always make a point of talking about this slide. The why on the left hand side, those are coming from the Higgius document, and it hasn't changed as, I guess, the key part to it for online learning or remote learning. Those are still those four key areas, and are so important to the learning, teaching and assessment, is that we engage learners, there is a quality, and there is no doubt about the quality of our educators in this country. But again, what we feel that we can perhaps, we hope we can share some ideas about how we can help you still be that brilliant teacher that you were in the classroom online. And we know that some people have found that move can be challenging. There are some parts to that, some new tools and some tricks to learn. But we know that we have great teachers, and that what we hope is that we can support you with some of the tools that can help you bring those brilliant activities you have in the classroom online. And again, we're really keen again to stress about how we can use these tools for assessment. On the right hand side, talking about the how, that's the part that's always for you to decide. And what I would say is there might be lots of examples that we talk through in this webinar, and there is no expectation that because you've attended here, you're going to be able to do all of those things very quickly. And again, I know from my time being in school and people that I still speak to that are teachers and other educators, that we hold ourselves to the highest standard, and quite often go away and think, I need to be able to do all of that yesterday. And that's not the case. You'll pick the parts that you think you can do, and think about how you can make that change in your classroom or with your learners. What can you do, and keep it manageable is just the message with that. So please be kind to ourselves. Regarding online learning, I've put a link here to a report, some research from the WEF, the Education Endowment Foundation, about what they've learned about online learning in the past year, in a brand new document there from them. And these are the 5 parts that they talk to in those documents and from their research. And the first one, I say already, we've got no doubts about the quality of teachers that we have, and we hope that, and by providing some of this support around online learning strategies and platforms, that you're able to continue to teach at that high standard that you have. Access to technology is not something that the actual technology is not something, unfortunately, we'd love to be able to help with that, and to provide resources and devices, but it's not something that we're able to. It's not something that our organisation plays a hand in. So we know that comes down to local authorities and schools and families about the actual devices and the access to the internet. However, I've put some slides in here that looks at the access to those technologies once you've got them. So looking at how we can support either younger learners or learners with particular support needs. So some of the strategies and tools and technologies that can help learners to access the learning online. Peer interactions, again, that's EEF telling us things that we already know. Peer interactions are hugely important to learners, whether that's working collaboratively or if that's just having that opportunity to discuss their learning or their lives with their friends, and that's a huge part of the school day. So whether we look at how we can use the tools that we have, definitely support peer interactions around the learning, and again, for supporting work independently, my big win for that would be, and I've put some links to videos in here, one of the ones would be using assignments. So if you're using Teams or Classroom, having a real think about your use of assignments and the fact that you can put so many resources into an assignment. You could almost set up your maths learning for the week as one assignment and give them lots of different tasks to do within that, but you're able to put links to things like BBC bite-sized pages, videos, whether that's on YouTube or BBC or wherever you're accessing those. You might also want to consider the documents that you use, and we'll show you some examples of that in one of the later slides. How do you support families with learning? Because if you can have the best lesson in the world, dead engaging, but your learner, as soon as they leave, whether they're working with you online or, and again, I know with, just a wee second, somebody's getting their mic on, I can just hear a wee echo there. I had it again in my own class. You can ask them all the questions you like, check their understanding, and the second they go away from sitting on the carpet or wherever else you're doing that learning, as soon as they go away, somebody puts their hand up and says, I'm stuck. So thinking about what strategies, how do we combat that or support or navigate around that when our learners are not in front of us, when they go away and they put their hand up and say, I don't understand this. So how do we support families with that? And the last part, this is just one of many strategies. I'm sure you've developed your own. They'll be going at different paces and different rates of success when you try new things. What we have here is not the answer. It's just one approach that we think you could take that would benefit you and your learners and your families. And we hope that it fits into the suite of learning that you already have established for your learners. Any advice that you're looking for, we would recommend it's probably, do ignore the wee circle, that's from a previous session, it keeps reappearing, I need to go and fix that. But DigiLearn Scot is our sort of hub site. It's a blog held within Glow, but you don't have to access Glow to reach it. So you can go to digilearn.scot. That's our website. There is sharing practice, examples from other practitioners all across the country about different subject areas, primary, secondary, early year centres. So people sharing their own learning experiences over the past year. Our learning path's got lots of reading and so access to the pedagogy, I guess, where we're looking at the research and finding what we've found works best or what other research says. The webinars, you can catch up. You can check and see what's coming up, and you can catch up in some of the webinars we've already done this year. Practitioner support, there's just some, again, some links in with the learning path, some bits you might want to check there. And I would always say as well, we are asking our learners to access online in most cases, so it's definitely worth thinking about cyber resilience and internet safety and how that bundles in as part of our learning online. I'm going to pass over now to Jacqueline, if you've got a wee bit to say about the numeracy and maths.
Sorry, I was trying to send that forms there and then I couldn't unmute at the same time. I'm getting a bit of feedback now as well. So again, as I've said, I have come across and worked with some of you before, and I know that you will have looked at these, but what we're kind of basing the pedagogy of today's session around is the pedagogy that we talk about in these numeracy professional learning resources. Now, we completely appreciate this last year has been difficult and unusual, so we don't expect everybody to have had a look at it, but I was just wondering out of interest if anybody had a chance to look at these, and I'm not asking, not saying in detail anything like that, even if you had a glance through them, if you could just kind of complete that poll, and if the answer is no, that's absolutely fine, because we do understand how difficult things are, and what we kind of try to do at sessions like this is highlight these and point people into the direction of them so that they can go away when they do eventually manage to find a wee bit of time just to have a look at them. I've put the link to the chat in, the link to them in the chat, and also or you can scan it using your phone in the QR code. But George, am I right in saying they'll be able to access this thread after? So if they want to come back to any links that we post in the chat, they'll be able to come back to that after this? Great, okay. Because I do have a few links as we go through today that I probably will share with you. So if you do want to come back, that's fine. But really, these are just to try and kind of help practitioners to help sort of reflect on what their current approaches are and develop those effective approaches to learning and teaching. We hope that you find probably a lot of it reassuring and that you're on the right track, but maybe we're hoping that you find some, wee nuggets that you can use to try and refine your own learning and teaching approaches as well. Some of the approaches that we talk about are not suitable for a remote learning, and that's okay. But what George and I will try and do today is look at how we can kind of get around that using digital technology. Also looking at how we can enhance the numeracy skills of learners and address common misconceptions as well. So if you've not had a chance to look at those documents, if you do find time, it's worth having a look at them. Some of it will support you now, but most of it will just be generally your approaches to learning and teaching as well. But in addition to that, we've also been running a series of webinars to support these, and some of you might have been along at these. We've still got time to go, which is next week, and we've still got chance to go. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to post a wee link in the chat here, and this is a link to the recordings of the webinars that we've had before. But what we've actually done is we've chunked them into smaller videos. So each video, I don't think any video is longer than 10 minutes. I could be wrong, but they are kind of 5 to 10 minutes. And at the moment we've got fractions, number processes, and data up there as well. So again, if there's a particular concept that you're about to go on and teach, then it's, you can go in and link into these videos as well. So it's just, sometimes it's just not knowing what's out there, and it's quite good to have that signposted and brought to your attention as well. So that's my complete plug for the professional learning resources. Thanks for that, George. But it does feed into what we're about to do, because it helps the approaches that we're about to use. So on to the fun stuff, I think now, yeah?
Yeah, just a quick point I've put in here.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, just this one again, quoting EEF there, and we've put in a link to those 3 sites there that Jacqueline shared with me. I've put on to the slides. So again, there's some support for families. So when a learner gets stuck, it's well worth signposting these. Now, whether those go on a front-facing, like a blog page for the school or for your class, or you share them as part of the assignments and part of the learning materials you give. But always, for me, I would be I've spoken to colleagues in the sort of family learning part of our organisation as well, and they're saying that is really important. Again, just think it's not just the learner that's necessarily in front of you, but again, their family, when they get stuck, who is it that supports them with that at home, and can you offer any support? I can only imagine some of the battles that parents might have with children who that's not the way that my teacher does it, and those sort of conversations. And again, you can see the quote at the top saying that many parents struggle with their own numeracy and maths, so any support we can give them, I think, is something we should consider. And I've also added in it, I spoke about access. Each of those hyperlinks on the page there takes you to a video explaining how those tools work. So Immersive Reader is built in all across the Office 365 tools that we have access to in Glow. It will read parts of the page to them. There is also, if they use the Microsoft Edge browser, I'll need to add that to the slide. If you go to Microsoft Edge, in fact, I'll just show you very quickly. Hopefully see my screen here. The wee ellipsis in the top right on the Edge browser, there is an option to read aloud, and it will read the page on the text on any site at all. So again, there are tools like that make it instantly accessible. There are some alternatives with the Google apps, but those are Chrome extensions. Your local authority will have to have them turned on for them to work with your Google Glow. And again, devices like iPads and mobile phones have got massive considerations for accessibility built in, and it's well worth having a look at how you can use some of these apps, or again, just to share them with families and letting them know that if the learner is having issues with perhaps reading or writing answers, they could perhaps use voice control to type their answers on their iPad, and they can again just speak to it to share their thinking, their understanding. I'm just going to stay in this mode for just a wee second, because I'm going to be coming out the slides in just a second. In fact, I'll switch back up.